Hi there, this is Patrick Durkin here with Keller Williams Realty Las Vegas. This is as always, our Quick Tip Tuesday video. And last time we did this, I had a special guest, Cheryl Durkin, my mother, part of the Durkin Group. And this month we have our property manager, Keith Thomsen, with us. Hi, Keith.
Hi there, how are you?
So Keith is part of Large Vision Property Management. Keller Williams Realty is not a property manager. I got to get all the boring disclosures out there. We're not a property manager. However, Keith's office, Large Vision Property Management, is right here in our office. So I wanted to have Keith join us on this one to kind of help answer some questions that we're seeing. We get commonly when it comes to renting out your home versus selling it. And so before I ask Keith a question, I wanted to give Keith some kudos here. So how long have you been doing property management total?
15 years, and I've owned my own rentals for 30.
Okay. So if you know anything about this business, there's actually an internal industry report that gets released every month, and it's kind of actually a report where brokers and property managers, they're infractions. And Keith, you would agree with this, that property managers always top that list.
Always. 90% of all the complaints to division are property management related.
Right. So we wanted to bring this to light, and what would you say is the biggest infraction when it comes to property management? Why do they top the list?
Oh, it's almost always about accounting, and that's why we have our own accountant whose sole purpose is doing accounting. She's been doing it for 20 some odd years with other companies, real estate companies, property management, and she's extremely good, and that way eliminates our accounting issues.
Okay. So one person solely dedicated to
Correct.
just the accounting.
She does she doesn't have a real estate license nor a property management license.
Okay. So I think that's important to mention because, although as long as Keith has been doing this, you found yourself in court, but you've never lost.
I don't lose. Going to eviction court, I don't lose. No, I always have all my ducks in a row, and I'm ready for whatever they might bring up.
That's what goes a lot to say about a property manager that has been doing it for that long. So
yes.
Kudos to you on that. And one of the other big questions that we are getting recently here at the Durkin Group is, show me the difference between maybe the income I might make from renting my house out compared to selling it, and how that might be different there. And I think your phone's ringing.
Sorry, I thought I shut it off.
Hey, we're all about authenticity here. So, one of the questions we're seeing is, hey, Patrick, I'm considering renting my house out. Maybe aside from selling it, you probably get that a lot yourself, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. No, a lot of clients, they live in the property, and now they're going to be moving to a new home here in Vegas or moving out of state, and they want to know if it's a good idea for them to rent it out. My first statement usually is, have you ever rented out a property before? And if their answer is no, my second statement usually is, are you ready for people who don't take care of your home as well as you do?
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. Some people become it's my home, I've lived in it, I've made it a great place. You better think twice about renting it out because tenants do not take care of a home as well as an owner would. Right. That's just a fact of life. 95% of your tenants are very good. They don't cause damage. They leave the place in good shape. You get 3% who we call the slobs. They're dirty. And then you get the 2% that everybody always talks about, which is they cause a lot of damage. Those are the people that we eliminate through our vetting process when we get the applications. Most of the time we'll get rid of a lot of the dirty people, but you still can have damage to a property. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, right. So a lot of people, they're aware of the plus sides of renting, whether that be tax deductions, it's a monthly income. We want to kind of outweigh both scenarios, good and bad. When it comes to one of the things that we like to address is, people are aware that, okay, the value of my home might go down during renting, so renters might be able to ride that roller coaster up, build some equity. But one of the things that we've seen, and in fact, we have 2 listings right now where I would venture to say, what happens if your property value is going up? And what I mean by that is, if you're locked into a lease agreement with tenants, maybe a year, or maybe, and then you want to take it, 2018 was a flagship year in Las Vegas for appreciation rate of home values. And what if you had your home rented in the beginning of 2018 and you really wanted to take advantage of the flagship year we had? you're limited and you want to list your home on the market, you're really limited to investors who are going to buy a home that has tenants in it, because the first thing being that a lease agreement always runs with the property, right?
That is correct,
Right.
yes. And tenants do not generally cooperate with the sale of a home, with showings. It's an inconvenience. You have to be very careful because the tenant has the right to quiet enjoyment.
Keith's a very busy man with his phone,
And-
so.
Sorry about that. The tenant has the right to quiet enjoyment, so you cannot bother them too often. So if you get a whole bunch of showings and a whole bunch of people showing up at that house wanting to see that house, the tenant can refuse and say no, and you can take them to court, and the court will side with that tenant every time.
A lot of moving pieces in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You have to be very careful when you have a tenant in place. You're pretty much locked in for the duration of that lease.
Right. Now that we've gotten all the negative things out there, what are some of the plus sides you've seen on renting out your homes? What's the most successful stories you've seen when it comes to rental?
Well, as long as the person is ready, the owner is ready for repairs. Most owners do not put money aside for repairs. Things break. We recommend having a home warranty that limits your out-of-pocket expenses. Air conditioners break, hot water tanks break. Things break. That's just the reality of somebody living in a home, whether you're living there or anybody else. So as long as you're ready for repairs, for saving any money for repainting the property and things of that nature, most people will have a good experience. The biggest problem really goes back to, are you ready for what might happen? Mm-hmm. Most of the time it doesn't happen. Like I said, 95% of the time it doesn't happen, but all it takes is that one bad egg to really ruin your experience real fast.
So you've seen a lot more success cases,
yes.
In the sense of someone's purchasing a property for the sole reason of renting
Correct.
it out, right?
Yeah.
Because they're prepared.
People who are buying for investment have already pretty much done their homework and are ready for what might happen.
Evictions, damages.
Exactly.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of evictions. Usually the evictions that we end up at, I've had one eviction that we've put the tenant in 5 years, but I go to eviction court probably once every 3 or 4 months, because we take over properties from owners who have been managing it themselves, which is always a lot of fun. And the tenant hasn't paid them, or the tenant's done a lot of damage, etc. And so they hire property management finally, and we have to go get rid of the people. That's always a bundle of laughs.
Yeah. Well, we will have to keep this video short. Keith, I really appreciate you joining me on this.
Thank you.
Give a little bit about property management here, and we like to keep the topics relevant to you out there to serve Las Vegas real estate owners and buyers and investors. So thanks again.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.